Rain slid slowly down the tall windows of the clinic, turning the city lights outside into soft streaks of gold and silver. Emma Carter sat in the corner of the waiting room, with her hands folded tightly in her lap. She had chosen the chair furthest from everyone else. It was a habit she had developed years ago, finding the quietest place in any room. The safest place. Across from her, a television played a daytime talk show no one seemed interested in watching. A mother tried to calm her coughing child. An older man flipped impatiently through a magazine. Emma stared at the floor. Her chest felt tight again. Not painful. Just heavy. Like something invisible was pressing gently against her ribs. The receptionist called another name. Emma's heart skipped. Not her. Good. She hated being the center of attention, even for something as simple as standing up. Emma adjusted the sleeve of her sweater. It was slightly too big for her, but she liked it that way. It felt like armor. Outside, thunder rumbled faintly in the distance. Emma wondered if she should leave. Maybe the tight feeling in her chest wasn't serious. Maybe she was overreacting again. She did that a lot. Her thoughts always found ways to convince her that she was being foolish. But then she remembered the night 2 weeks ago, when the pressure in her chest had woken her from sleep. That had scared her enough to make this appointment. So she stayed. Minutes passed. The waiting room door opened. A woman stepped inside wearing a white coat. The room seemed to quiet slightly when she walked in. Dr. Maya Bennett. Emma didn't know the doctor's name yet, but she would remember the moment she saw her. Maya moved with calm confidence, her dark hair tied loosely at the back of her neck. She held a clipboard under one arm as she spoke briefly with the receptionist. Emma tried not to stare. But something about the doctor's presence drew her attention. Maybe it was the warmth in her voice. Maybe it was the way she smiled gently at the nervous child across the room. Emma looked away quickly when Maya glanced in her direction. Her heart suddenly beat faster. Ridiculous, she thought. She wasn't here for that. She was here because something was wrong with her chest. Maya flipped through the papers on her clipboard. Then she spoke. Emma Carter. Emma froze. For half a second, she didn't move. Then she stood quickly, almost knocking her bag off the chair. Her face flushed. That's me, she said softly. Maya smiled. Hi, Emma. I'm Dr. Bennett. Her voice was calm and warm, the kind of voice that made people feel safe without even trying. Emma nodded shyly. Follow me. Emma walked behind her down a quiet hallway. The clinic lights were bright, but somehow the world felt quieter here. Inside the examination room, Maya gestured toward the bed. You can sit there. Emma perched carefully on the edge. Maya sat across from her, flipping open the clipboard. So, Maya said gently, what brings you in today? Emma looked down at her hands. My chest feels tight sometimes. Maya's expression softened immediately. How long has that been happening? A few weeks. Any pain? Emma shook her head. Just pressure. Maya nodded thoughtfully. Does it happen during exercise? Emma almost laughed. I don't exercise much. That's okay, Maya said kindly. Emma glanced up briefly. Maya was watching her with careful attention, not the rushed impatience Emma expected from doctors. She seemed genuinely interested. Emma swallowed nervously. Mostly when I'm nervous, she admitted. Maya tilted her head slightly. Nervous about something specific? Emma hesitated. People. Maya didn't laugh. Didn't look confused. Instead she nodded slowly. That's more common than you think. Her face flushed. Emma felt something inside her relax just a little. Maybe coming here hadn't been such a bad idea after all. And without realizing it, Emma's quiet heart had just begun the most important story of her life. The examination room was quiet, except for the faint hum of the air conditioner and the soft ticking of a wall clock. Emma sat stiffly on the edge of the examination bed, fingers gripping the sides. Her heart raced a little, not from fear of her chest, but from the gentle presence of Dr. Maya Bennett. Maya flipped through Emma's medical chart with deliberate calm, then looked up. Her dark brown eyes were steady, observant, and kind. There was no judgment there. Only focus, and something that felt like understanding. Emma, Maya said softly, can you describe the feeling in your chest again? Emma hesitated. She had rehearsed it in her head a dozen times. Yet, when she opened her mouth, her words came out small and unsure. It's like pressure, she said. Sometimes it comes when I'm nervous. My heart, it just beats fast and I feel tight. Maya nodded, jotting notes on her clipboard without breaking eye contact. That's very normal, she said gently. Anxiety can make your heart feel heavy. But we'll check to make sure your heart itself is healthy, okay? Emma nodded, though she felt a little embarrassed. She hated being nervous in front of strangers, even doctors. But Maya's calm voice was like a soft anchor, pulling her out of the storm of her own racing thoughts. Would you like me to show you something? Maya asked. She gestured to a small, sleek monitor in the corner. Emma blinked. Sure. Maya smiled. It was warm, quiet, and unassuming, but it made Emma's stomach flutter. She helped Emma lie back on the examination bed, adjusting the small pillow behind her head. We're going to do a quick heart check. You won't feel much, it's painless, I promise. As Maya gently placed the stethoscope on Emma's chest, Emma's nerves shot up again. Her cheeks flushed. Try to breathe slowly, Maya said, her hand brushing Emma's shoulder lightly. The contact was brief, professional, but Emma felt a spark of something unspoken. She looked at Maya's face and saw full attention, genuine care. Emma's thoughts scattered. Why does her hand feel so warm? Why does her smile feel like home? Maya listened to her heartbeat, humming softly under her breath. Your heart is strong, she said finally. No irregularities. Just a healthy, quiet rhythm. Emma exhaled, relief washing over her. She hadn't realized how tense she'd been. Thank you, she whispered. Maya smiled, a small, knowing smile. You're welcome. But Emma, remember, sometimes our hearts feel heavy even when everything is physically fine. It doesn't mean something is wrong. It just means your emotions are telling you something. Emma blinked, unsure how to respond. Her emotions had never been acknowledged like this. Not by anyone. Not like this. Sometimes, it helps to talk, Maya added, leaning slightly closer. Even about small things. Emma felt her chest tighten again, not from anxiety, but something else. Something unfamiliar, fluttering, almost like hope. I don't usually talk about things, Emma admitted quietly. That's okay, Maya said gently. You're here now. And that's enough. The words settled in Emma's chest like a soft weight. She didn't have to explain everything. Not yet. Not all at once. As Maya stepped back, preparing to write more notes, Emma found herself staring. Not at the stethoscope, not at the chart, but at Maya. The way she moved, the calm steadiness she radiated, even in this small room. Emma's quiet heart, always cautious and withdrawn, had begun to stir. And Maya, without even knowing it, had taken the first step toward it. The clinic hallway smelled faintly of antiseptic and lavender. Emma followed Maya, her steps quiet, almost hesitant. Each movement felt deliberate, like walking on a narrow bridge. "You're doing fine," Maya said softly. "No need to rush." Emma nodded, her gaze fixed on the floor. She wasn't used to people speaking to her like this, calmly, without urgency, without expectation. When they entered the small consultation room, Emma perched on the edge of the chair, keeping her hands folded tightly in her lap. Maya pulled a chair closer and sat across from her. "I know it can be scary talking about feelings," she said, "especially if you've spent a lot of time keeping them inside." Emma's throat tightened. She swallowed. I'm not really good at it," she admitted. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. "That's okay," Maya said. Her tone was soft, patient, but firm enough that Emma felt heard. "You don't have to be good at it. You just have to be willing to try. Even a little." Emma looked up at Maya, and for the first time in her life, she felt someone wasn't judging her. Someone wasn't rushing her. Someone actually wanted to hear what she had to say. She tried to speak, but the words tangled in her throat. Instead, she nodded quickly. Maya smiled. "Small steps. That's all it takes." They sat in silence for a moment, and Emma realized it wasn't uncomfortable. In fact, it felt safe. Like a soft blanket wrapped around her chest. "Tell me about your life," Maya said gently. Emma blinked. That wasn't a question she expected from a doctor. Usually, they stuck to charts, symptoms, medications. But Maya leaned in slightly, her eyes warm, waiting. I work from home," Emma whispered. "I design book covers." She paused, biting her lip. "It's quiet. I like it quiet." Maya nodded. "I can understand that. It must be nice to create things in your own space." Emma hesitated, then ventured a small smile. "Yeah. I like the quiet. But sometimes, it's too quiet." Maya nodded again, as if she knew exactly what Emma meant. Loneliness can feel heavier than any physical pain. Emma felt a pang in her chest. It was the first time she had heard someone put her feelings into words, someone outside herself. I don't go out much," Emma admitted. Her voice trembled slightly. "Crowds, they make me anxious." "That's completely normal," Maya said. Her voice was soft but steady. "And there's nothing wrong with avoiding what makes you uncomfortable. You just have to make space for yourself, and for people who can help carry the weight with you." Emma's eyes widened slightly. Maya's words weren't just about her chest. They felt like they were about her life. About everything she had kept inside for years. Maya scribbled something quickly on her clipboard. "You're doing very well, Emma. I want you to know that." Emma swallowed. She had spent her life feeling small, unheard. Yet here was someone who actually saw her. The moment stretched, soft and quiet. Emma felt her heart flutter, not from panic this time, but from something unfamiliar. Something warm. Something hopeful. Then Maya spoke, breaking the tension. "We'll schedule a follow-up in a few weeks. But in the meantime, if you ever need to talk, even about small things, you can." Emma nodded again, unable to form the words she wanted. But she felt it anyway, the invitation. It wasn't just professional. It wasn't just polite. It was personal. And for the first time in a long time, Emma felt a small spark of trust. As she walked out of the room, she realized she wanted to come back. Not just for her chest, but for Maya. And though she didn't know it yet, the quietest heart in the clinic had just found the gentlest hand reaching toward it. The soft hum of the clinic faded behind Emma as she stepped out into the rainy city streets. Drops of rain clung to her umbrella, sparkling in the streetlights like tiny stars. She walked slowly, almost mesmerized by the steady rhythm of the falling rain. Her chest still felt tight, but not in the way that had brought her here. This was a different kind of pressure. A gentle, fluttering one she didn't understand. Emma found a quiet cafe tucked between two apartment buildings and stepped inside. The warm smell of coffee and baked goods wrapped around her like a soft blanket. She ordered a tea and sat near the window, watching people hurry past, umbrellas bobbing like colorful mushrooms. Her mind wandered back to the clinic. To Maya's warm voice, the calm attention in her eyes, the way she had listened without judgment. Why does she make me feel safe? Emma thought. And nervous at the same time. The cafe was quiet, almost peaceful. A faint scent of lavender lingered in the air. Emma almost laughed to herself. Lavender. Her favorite. It reminded her of her childhood bedroom, where her mother had always kept a small sachet on the dresser. Small comforts she rarely allowed herself now. Emma stirred her tea absent-mindedly and realized she was smiling. A soft, shy smile that she hadn't worn in years. She wasn't aware of it at first, but her fingers were still clutching the small card Maya had given her, a simple appointment reminder, but with a note scribbled on the back. A quiet heart still deserves to be heard. Emma had read it over a dozen times since that first visit. Each time, it made her chest ache in a way that was pleasant. She traced the words with her finger, feeling a strange courage stirring inside her. Maybe I could talk to her more next time. Emma's thoughts were interrupted by the soft ding of the cafe door. She glanced up and her breath caught. A woman walked in, shaking off rain from her coat. She had dark hair pulled into a loose bun, and her eyes, warm, steady, kind, scanned the room. Emma's heart skipped. It wasn't Maya, of course. But for a brief second, Emma imagined it was. She smiled faintly at the resemblance, and then quickly looked away, cheeks flushing. She realized something then. She hadn't been just lonely these past weeks, she had been waiting. Waiting for someone who could see her, really see her. Someone like Maya. The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur. Emma didn't talk much, but she felt lighter than she had in months. The quiet cafe, the gentle rain, the memory of Maya's voice, it all combined into something that felt like hope. By the time she stepped back into the rain, Emma felt a small determination blooming inside her. She would go back to the clinic. She would face the nervous flutter in her chest. She would try, carefully, cautiously, to let Maya in. Because maybe, just maybe, the quietest hearts could find someone to understand them. And Emma's heart, long accustomed to silence, had begun to listen. Maybe I could talk to her more next time. Emma's thoughts were interrupted by the soft ding of the cafe door. She glanced up, and her breath caught. Emma's hands shook slightly as she pushed open the door to the clinic. The scent of antiseptic mingled faintly with the lingering smell of lavender from the waiting room, a smell that now felt comforting rather than clinical. She had been nervous all morning, trying to convince herself that this was just a routine follow-up. But deep down, she knew why her heart had been racing. She wanted to see Maya again. The receptionist smiled politely. Emma Carter. Emma's cheeks flushed. Yes. Dr. Bennett will see you now, the receptionist said, motioning toward the hallway. Emma walked slowly, each step measured. Her chest tightened, but this time not from fear. From anticipation. When Maya appeared at the end of the hallway, her expression brightened slightly. That small smile, warm, genuine, soft, made Emma's heart skip. Emma, Good to see you, Maya said, voice calm and inviting. Emma nodded, words failing her. She followed Maya into the consultation room and perched again on the edge of the bed, clutching her cardigan tightly. Have you been feeling any discomfort? Maya asked, her tone professional but gentle. Emma shook her head. No, mostly better. Maya nodded approvingly. Good. That's what I like to hear. She pulled up a chair and sat across from Emma. There was something different about the way she looked at her this time, a softer focus, less clinical, more attentive. They began the routine check, but the conversation soon drifted beyond Emma's symptoms. You read a lot, don't you? Maya asked, glancing at the notebook peeking from Emma's bag. Emma nodded, surprised. Yes, mostly books. I design book covers, actually. Maya's eyes lit up. Really? That sounds fascinating. You get to bring stories to life visually. Emma blinked. No one had ever shown genuine curiosity about her work before. She felt herself relax. Yes. I like it quiet. I like creating things without interruptions. Maya smiled warmly. I understand. I work long shifts too. Sometimes quiet is the only way to recharge. A silence settled between them, not awkward, but comfortable. Emma's heart thumped quietly in her chest, and she realized that she wasn't anxious this time. She was at ease. Then, Maya leaned slightly forward, her eyes catching the light from the window. Emma, I want you to know, you're doing really well. Not just physically, but emotionally. You've been brave to come here, to talk about how you feel. Emma felt heat rise to her cheeks. No one had ever said that to her in this way. She nodded, words barely forming. Thank you, she whispered. Maya's smile widened just a fraction. You're welcome. For the first time, Emma felt comfortable enough to look at Maya fully. And when she did, she saw something in Maya's gaze, interest, kindness, a quiet joy in simply being present with her. It was then that something shifted inside Emma. Something small, delicate, yet undeniable. A spark of connection. A feeling she hadn't allowed herself to experience in years. A small, cautious hope. Before she could overthink it, Maya leaned back slightly and said, I know this may seem unprofessional, but, if you'd like, there's a small coffee shop across the street. I go there sometimes after work. Emma blinked. Her heart stuttered. Coffee. Maya's gentle laugh filled the room. Just coffee. No pressure. Only if you want to. Emma nodded slowly, cheeks warm. I think I'd like that. Maya's smile deepened, soft and reassuring. Good. I think that's a very good idea. And in that quiet consultation room, Emma realized something she hadn't known before. Sometimes the smallest gestures could change everything. A simple smile. A gentle invitation. A shared cup of coffee. Her quiet heart, long used to silence, had begun to beat in rhythm with someone else. The soft patter of rain accompanied Emma as she stepped out of the clinic. Her hands were clammy, and her chest fluttered, not from anxiety, but anticipation. She clutched the small card Maya had given her, now slightly bent from being folded and unfolded a dozen times. Across the street, the cafe's warm glow spilled onto the wet pavement. It was small and cozy, with a single wooden bench outside and tiny fairy lights twinkling along the window pane. Emma hesitated for a moment, taking a deep breath. It's just coffee. Nothing more. Just coffee. She stepped inside. The scent of roasted coffee beans and baked pastries enveloped her, calming some of the nerves that had taken residence in her chest. Emma, a gentle voice called. She looked up, and there was Maya. She had shed her white coat and now wore a soft grey sweater, her hair loosely tied back. Her eyes lit up when she saw Emma, and that small, warm smile made Emma's stomach flutter. "Hi," Emma whispered, cheeks tinged with pink. "Hi," Maya replied softly, walking toward her. "I hope this isn't too awkward." Emma shook her head. "No, not at all." Maya gestured to a small table in the corner. "Shall we sit?" They settled into the booth. Emma fidgeted with her cardigan, her gaze flicking toward the window. Maya watched her quietly, offering nothing but gentle patience. "Do you come here often?" Emma asked, finally. Maya chuckled softly. "I do. It's quiet. Perfect for thinking, or unwinding after a long day." Emma nodded. "I like quiet." A pause settled between them. Not uncomfortable, but intimate in its own way. Emma felt the nervous warmth pooling in her chest again. "I brought you a tea," Maya said, sliding a cup toward her. "Chamomile. I remembered you like lavender scents." Emma's eyes widened slightly. "You remembered?" Maya shrugged lightly, though the corner of her lips curved in a faint smile. "Details matter. Even the small ones." Emma sipped the tea, savoring the soft floral flavor. "It's really nice." "Thank you." Maya watched her closely, and for a moment, Emma felt exposed. She wasn't used to being looked at like this, not with interest, not with care. But she liked it. They talked, slowly at first, about books and favorite authors. Emma found herself laughing softly at Maya's subtle jokes and the way she described her work at the clinic. Hours seemed to shrink into minutes. They shared stories from their childhoods, quiet moments of life's struggles, and small victories that mattered more than they realized. At one point, Emma realized she hadn't thought about the pressure in her chest at all. Not once. Only about Maya, sitting across from her, smiling gently, listening patiently, making space for her in ways Emma hadn't thought possible. When it was finally time to leave, the rain had stopped, leaving the city sparkling under streetlights. Maya walked her to the edge of the sidewalk. "I had a really nice time," she said softly. "Me too," Emma whispered, her voice barely audible. There was a pause, a hesitation that stretched long and tender between them. Emma felt the gentle pull of something new, something fragile yet undeniable. Maya smiled again, and it felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Maybe we can do this again sometime." Emma nodded, cheeks flushed, heart pounding. "I'd like that." As they parted ways, Emma realized the truth: the quietest hearts could find someone who understood them. And sometimes, all it took was a warm smile, a gentle voice, and a cup of tea to begin something unforgettable. That night, Emma went home with her chest lighter than it had been in months. Not because the pressure had vanished entirely, but because she had discovered something far more important: connection. And the first spark of love, soft and tentative, had quietly taken root. The city felt different the next day. The rain had left everything gleaming, the streets polished with reflected light. Emma walked slowly, her mind replaying the previous evening, the warmth of the cafe, the way Maya had listened, the small smile that had made her chest flutter. She had told herself a dozen times, "It's just coffee. Nothing more. Just coffee." But her heart knew otherwise. Emma spent the morning at her desk, sketching book covers, but her hand shook slightly with distraction. Every thought seemed to return to Maya, the gentle tone of her voice, the warmth in her eyes, the way she had made space for Emma to speak without rushing her. By the afternoon, she found herself staring out the window, sipping a tea she had brewed for herself. She imagined sitting across from Maya again, hearing the small laugh that made her feel light inside. When the next appointment rolled around, Emma arrived early. She sat in the waiting room, heart racing, fingers fidgeting with the strap of her bag. She barely noticed the other patients, barely heard the television murmuring in the corner. Emma Carter. Maya's voice broke through her thoughts. Emma stood quickly, nearly dropping her bag, cheeks flushing. "Hi," she whispered. "Hi," Maya replied, eyes warm and bright. "Good to see you." Emma followed her into the consultation room, perching at the edge of the bed as usual. Maya pulled a chair closer. This time, the professional barrier felt thinner, almost non-existent. "Last time we talked about anxiety and pressure," Maya said, her voice soft. "How have you been feeling since then?" Emma hesitated. She wanted to tell Maya more, about her quiet loneliness, about the relief she had felt after their coffee. But words seemed to catch in her throat. I think, better," Emma whispered finally. "That's good," Maya said gently. "Better is progress." Emma felt the gentle rhythm of their conversation, the patience Maya offered, the unspoken permission to take things at her own pace. "Emma," Maya said after a moment, "you don't have to speak perfectly. You don't have to have all the words. You just have to try." Emma blinked. "Try. To speak. About anything. About what matters to you. Even small things. Even feelings you think don't matter." Emma's fingers tightened around her cardigan. No one had ever spoken to her like this, not just about her health, but about her life, her quiet heart. She felt herself softening, opening slightly. I like," she began, then stopped, flustered. "I like quiet places. I like reading. I like your tea," she admitted softly, cheeks flushing. Maya's eyes crinkled with a small laugh. "That's a start," she said, leaning back slightly. "And I like listening. That counts, too." Emma smiled faintly, the corners of her lips trembling with a new courage. She hadn't realized how good it felt to be heard, to have someone care about her small truths. The rest of the appointment passed with quiet conversations. They talked about books, about favorite authors, about the little comforts in life that made days bearable. At one point, Maya leaned forward, resting her elbows lightly on her knees. "Emma, I enjoy spending time with you," she said softly. "Even if it's just talking. Even if it's small things." Emma felt her chest flutter. Her voice caught. I enjoy it too." Maya's smile deepened, and for a fleeting moment, the room seemed warmer, softer, like the world had slowed around them. As Emma left the clinic that day, she realized something remarkable. Talking didn't have to be scary. Opening up didn't have to be overwhelming. And a heart that had spent so long in silence could still find someone patient enough to listen. The quietest hearts, she realized, sometimes only needed one gentle voice to help them learn to speak. The evening air was cool and crisp, scented faintly with rain and the soft musk of autumn leaves. Emma walked slowly along the park path, hands tucked into the pockets of her cardigan. She had agreed to meet Maya here after her shift, an idea that had made her heart race all day. She arrived first, choosing a bench beneath a large oak tree. The leaves rustled gently above her, casting shadows that danced in the soft glow of the streetlights. Emma pulled her knees close and waited, her chest fluttering nervously. Moments later, she saw Maya approaching, umbrella in hand. She smiled, a small, private smile meant only for Emma, and waved. "Hi," Maya said, voice soft and warm. "Hi," Emma whispered, cheeks flushed. She felt a flutter in her chest that was different from anxiety, an excited, tender kind of anticipation. Maya joined her on the bench, setting the umbrella aside. They sat quietly for a moment, watching the leaves drift in the gentle wind. "This is nice," Emma said finally, her voice low. Yes, Maya agreed. It's peaceful. Good for thinking and talking. Emma hesitated, unsure if she should say what was on her mind. But Maya's calm presence made it easier. She took a slow breath. I've never really shared much about myself, Emma admitted. Her fingers twisted nervously in her lap. Not with anyone. Maya tilted her head, her eyes steady and patient. You can share with me. Only if you want. No pressure. Emma blinked, surprised at the gentle invitation. She wanted to, more than she had wanted anything in a long time. Slowly, she began to speak. She told Maya about her childhood, how she had spent most of her afternoons tucked away in her room, reading or drawing. About her mother, who had always encouraged quiet creativity. About the small moments that had made life feel safe and comforting. Maya listened without interruption, her presence steady and grounding. Occasionally, she would nod softly or reach out to brush a stray strand of hair behind Emma's ear, an action so gentle that it sent a warm thrill through Emma. I've spent so long being small, Emma admitted finally, voice trembling. Afraid to take up space. Afraid to let people see me. Maya reached out and placed her hand lightly over Emma's. The touch was deliberate, reassuring. Emma, you're not small. You just haven't met the right people to show your heart to. But I see it. And it's beautiful. Emma felt a shiver run through her, not from cold, but from the vulnerability of the moment. She looked at Maya's face, and for the first time, she saw something that went beyond professional care. Something tender, protective, and personal. Thank you, Emma whispered, her voice barely audible. Maya squeezed her hand gently. You don't have to thank me. I'm glad you trust me. They sat together in silence for a while, listening to the distant hum of the city, the whisper of leaves above them, the quiet rhythm of two hearts beginning to align. As they walked back toward the street, shoulders brushing occasionally, Emma realized something extraordinary. She had always thought her shy heart would remain hidden, confined to quiet corners. But with Maya, she felt seen, safe, and alive. That night, as Emma lay in bed, she replayed the moment on the park bench over and over. She felt a fluttering warmth in her chest, the tentative hope that perhaps, at last, her heart had found a place where it could belong. And she knew, deep down, that this was only the beginning. The city lights flickered softly against the evening fog as Emma walked home, her steps slow and thoughtful. The park bench from last night still lingered in her mind, the warmth of Maya's hand, the gentle way she had listened, the quiet care that made Emma feel alive. Her chest felt light, but her heart thumped in a way it hadn't in years. Excitement, anticipation, and a little fear all danced together. Emma reached her apartment and paused by the window, gazing at the shimmering street below. She hugged her cardigan around herself, imagining Maya walking beside her, the brush of her hand lingering in memory. I've never felt this way before, Emma thought, biting her lip. Safe, and nervous, and happy. The next clinic appointment arrived faster than she expected. Emma tried to focus on her work that morning, sketching book covers, but her thoughts kept drifting to Maya. When she arrived at the clinic, she spotted Maya in the hallway, reviewing her notes. Their eyes met, and Emma felt her heart skip. Maya's smile was small, but genuine, and something about it made the butterflies in Emma's stomach soar. Emma, Maya said softly, good to see you. Emma's cheeks flushed. Good to see you too. They moved into the consultation room. Emma perched at the edge of the bed as usual. Maya pulled up a chair closer, bridging the physical distance just slightly, enough that Emma felt the subtle warmth radiating from her. How have you been feeling? Maya asked, voice calm but attentive. Emma hesitated. Do I say better? Or do I say what I really feel? I've been Good, she admitted softly. Better. Thanks to, well, everything. Her words faltered, unsure if she should mention the coffee, the park, the way her heart felt lighter. Maya's eyes softened, as if she understood more than Emma said. I'm glad. And I'm glad you came back. It means a lot that you trust me. Emma felt heat rise to her cheeks. Trust, yes. I do. They spoke for a while about her health, but the conversation soon drifted naturally to personal things, books, favorite places, quiet routines. Emma found herself opening more, speaking freely in ways she hadn't before. At one point, Maya reached out subtly, brushing a loose strand of hair from Emma's face. The touch was light, almost casual, but it sent a shiver down Emma's spine. Her fingers twitched, as if wanting to reach out, but not knowing how. Maya noticed, a small, knowing smile tugging at her lips. You don't have to be nervous, she said softly. I enjoy spending time with you. Emma's heart beat faster. She felt the pull between them, the gentle magnetic force of closeness and care. She wanted to say something, anything, but the words felt trapped. Instead, she gave the smallest smile she could muster, shy but sincere. Maya returned it immediately, eyes warm and full of unspoken understanding. For the first time, Emma realized that this was something new. Something delicate and fragile, yet undeniably real. She didn't know where it would lead, or how fast, or if it was even possible for someone like her to be happy in this way. But she knew this, with Maya, she felt alive in a way she hadn't in years. And in that quiet examination room, amid soft lighting and subtle touches, something began that neither of them could ignore. Something new. The late afternoon sun filtered through the city's streets, casting long, golden streaks across the sidewalk. Emma walked toward the small cafe she and Maya had begun frequenting, her hands tucked nervously into the pockets of her cardigan. She arrived first, her chest fluttering as she watched the door, imagining Maya walking in. Every step she took toward this moment had been measured, careful, yet filled with anticipation. Moments later, the soft chime of the cafe door announced Maya's arrival. She stepped inside, shaking a light drizzle from her hair, and smiled the way she always did, warmly, gently, like she had been waiting just for Emma. Hi, Maya said, her voice soft, but carrying that comforting certainty. Hi, Emma whispered back, cheeks flushed. They chose their usual corner table, the one tucked by the window, and settled into the worn wooden chairs. The world outside blurred into motion, leaving only the two of them in a warm bubble of quiet. They ordered their drinks, Emma a chamomile tea, Maya a latte, and soon the quiet rhythm of conversation began. Books, work, small confessions about their routines. Emma spoke more freely now, her shyness tempered by the comfort Maya radiated. After a while, a soft silence fell. The kind of silence that felt comfortable, intimate. Emma looked down at her tea, heart thumping. I like spending time with you, she said softly, unsure if her voice carried enough strength. Maya reached across the table, brushing her fingers gently against Emma's hand. The touch was light, deliberate, and it sent a warmth straight through Emma's chest. I like spending time with you too, Maya said, her eyes holding Emma's. More than I expected. You're special, Emma. Emma's heart leapt. She felt the delicate tension between them, the quiet pull of something tender and fragile. She wanted to reach out, to close the small distance between them, but nerves held her back. Maya noticed the hesitation, and smiled softly. You don't have to rush anything, she whispered. We can take it slow. Just be together, for now. Emma nodded, feeling relief and warmth in equal measure. Slowly, courage stirred inside her. She leaned just slightly forward, enough for their fingers to intertwine across the table. The connection was electric, yet gentle, a promise rather than a declaration. For a long moment, they simply sat like that, hand in hand, hearts quietly acknowledging something neither had spoken aloud yet. "Emma," Maya said finally, voice soft, "I'm glad you trusted me. I've never met someone who makes me want to be patient in the best possible way." Emma's lips curved into a shy smile. "I trust you," she whispered. Maya's smile deepened, eyes sparkling with warmth and quiet joy. She leaned slightly closer, and Emma's breath caught, her heart fluttering like the first fragile wings of something new. Outside, the sun dipped lower, painting the world in shades of amber and rose. Inside, a quiet love was beginning to bloom, soft, tentative, and profoundly real. And for the first time in a long time, Emma felt certain of something, that her quiet heart had finally found a safe place. A place with Maya. Emma had never been the type of person who checked her phone often. Before Maya, most days passed quietly. Her phone rarely buzzed, rarely lit up with messages. It usually sat on her desk beside her sketchbook, silent and forgotten. But tonight was different. Emma lay on her couch, with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders, staring at the glowing screen in her hand. A new message appeared. "Maya. Did you get home safe?" Emma felt warmth spread through her chest. No one had ever asked her that before. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard nervously before she typed back. "Emma. Yes. I did. Thank you." She stared at the message after sending it, wondering if it sounded too short. Too awkward. Almost immediately, the three little dots appeared. Maya was typing. Emma's heart skipped. "Maya. Good. I was hoping you did." Emma smiled softly to herself. The apartment was quiet except for the faint ticking of the clock on the wall. Outside, rain tapped gently against the windows. For a moment she hesitated, then typed again. "Emma. Did you get home okay too?" Another quick reply. "Maya. Yes. Long day at the clinic though." Emma imagined Maya walking through the hospital halls, tired but still carrying that calm warmth she always seemed to have. Emma frowned slightly. "Emma. You should rest." A few seconds passed. Then Maya replied. "Maya. I will. But talking to you helps." Emma's cheeks warmed instantly. She tucked her legs under the blanket, feeling a quiet flutter in her chest. The conversation continued slowly, comfortably. They talked about small things. Emma shared a picture of the book cover she was designing. Maya sent a photo of the empty clinic hallway late at night. "Maya. Everyone's gone. Finally quiet." Emma studied the picture carefully. The hallway lights were dimmed, and Maya's reflection was faintly visible in the glass door. Something about the image made Emma's heart ache. It looked lonely. Emma typed carefully. "Emma. Do you work late often?" A pause. Then Maya replied. "Maya. More than I should." Emma hesitated before asking the next question. "Emma. Doesn't that get lonely?" For the first time, Maya took longer to respond. Emma wondered if she had asked something too personal. But eventually, the message appeared. "Maya. Sometimes." Emma stared at that single word. Sometimes. It sounded heavier than it looked. Emma had always thought of Maya as strong, confident, calm. Someone who helped others without ever needing help herself. But now Emma saw something different. Even Maya could be lonely. Even Maya needed someone. Emma typed slowly. "Emma. You don't have to be alone." Her heart pounded as she pressed send. A moment passed. Then another. Finally. Maya. That means a lot coming from you. Emma's chest fluttered. Another message followed. Maya. Emma. I'm really glad we met. Emma stared at the screen for a long time. Then she typed the truth she had been quietly feeling for weeks. Emma. Me too. Across the city, in a dimly lit apartment, Maya read the message and smiled softly. And in her quiet little living room, Emma hugged the blanket tighter around her shoulders, feeling something she hadn't felt in years. Connection. Not loud. Not overwhelming. Just gentle. Steady. Real. And as the two women continued exchanging quiet messages late into the night, neither of them realized how much their lives were slowly beginning to intertwine. Two lonely hearts. Learning, one message at a time. How not to be alone anymore. The clinic was unusually quiet that evening. Most of the staff had already gone home. The fluorescent lights in the hallway had dimmed, leaving only a soft glow that stretched across the polished floors. Dr. Maya Bennett sat alone in her office. Her white coat hung loosely on the back of her chair. A half-finished cup of coffee sat beside a stack of patient files she hadn't touched in 20 minutes. Her phone rested in her hand. Emma's last message was still on the screen. Me too. Maya stared at those two simple words longer than she expected. For years, her life had followed the same rhythm. Long shifts. Late nights. Quiet dinners alone. She had built walls around herself slowly, almost without noticing. Not because she disliked people, but because caring for people every day had taught her something difficult. People leave. People move on. People break. And sometimes, love didn't stay. Maya leaned back in her chair and closed her eyes for a moment. Her mind drifted to a memory she rarely allowed herself to revisit. 5 years earlier. She had been younger then. Still full of the reckless hope that love could survive anything. Her partner at the time had also been a doctor. They had met during residency, two ambitious women chasing the same dream. At first, it had been perfect. Late-night study sessions. Shared hospital shifts. Falling asleep on the couch after exhausting days. But the hospital had a way of swallowing time. One of them always worked nights. The other always worked weekends. Conversations became shorter. Dates disappeared. Eventually, the relationship had collapsed under the weight of exhaustion and distance. The breakup had been quiet. Almost clinical. We're both too busy, her partner had said. Maya remembered the way the apartment had felt after she left. Empty. Too quiet. After that, Maya had stopped trying. Work was easier. Predictable. Patients came and went. She could help them, care for them, and then send them safely back to their lives. But she didn't have to risk her own heart again. Until Emma. Maya opened her eyes and looked at the phone again. Emma's messages were still there. Gentle. Careful. Honest in a way most people weren't. Emma didn't rush conversations. She didn't demand attention. She didn't fill silence with noise. She simply existed beside Maya. Quietly. Comfortably. And somehow that had slipped past all the walls Maya had built. Maya rubbed her forehead, exhaling slowly. Careful, she murmured to herself. But the truth was already obvious. She was looking forward to their conversations. She noticed when Emma didn't text for a few hours. She replayed their coffee meetings in her head during long clinic shifts. That wasn't something Maya had planned. Her phone buzzed softly. Another message from Emma. Emma. Are you still at work? Maya smiled faintly. Maya. Just finishing up. 3 dots appeared. Then another message. Emma. You work too hard. Maya laughed quietly to herself. Maya. Occupational hazard. A pause. Then Emma replied again. Emma. Maybe you should take a day off. Maya leaned back in her chair, thinking about that. She couldn't remember the last time someone suggested something like that. Or the last time she even considered it. Another message appeared. Emma. We could go somewhere quiet. Maya felt something shift in her chest. Something warm. Something hopeful. She typed slowly. Maya. I think I'd like that. Across the city, Emma read the message and smiled shyly to herself. And for the first time in years, Maya Bennett realized something surprising. Maybe loneliness wasn't permanent. Maybe sometimes. All it took was one quiet person walking gently into your life. And suddenly the silence didn't feel so empty anymore. Morning sunlight slipped quietly through the curtains of Emma's apartment. The room was small but warm, filled with soft colors and scattered sketches pinned to the walls. Book-cover drafts lay across her desk like fragments of unfinished stories. Emma sat at the window with a mug of tea in her hands. Her phone rested beside her. Maya's message from the night before still lingered in her mind. I think I'd like that. Emma had read the sentence at least 20 times before finally falling asleep. It made her heart feel strangely light. But lightness always came with something else. A quiet fear. Emma stared out at the street below as people hurried to work, coats pulled tight against the cold wind. For most of her life, she had watched the world this way. From a distance. Safe. Invisible. Her fingers tightened around the warm mug as an old memory crept into her mind. High school. A crowded classroom. Emma had been sitting near the back, sketching quietly in her notebook while the teacher explained an assignment. Drawing had always been her escape. Her way of existing without speaking. But that day, someone had noticed. Hey, a girl from the front row had said loudly, grabbing Emma's notebook. Look at this. Emma's heart had started racing immediately. Give it back, she had whispered. But the girl had already opened the page. Inside were drawings Emma had never meant for anyone to see. Small illustrations of 2 girls sitting together. Holding hands. Laughing. Simple moments of affection Emma had imagined, but never experienced. The classroom had erupted in laughter. Wait, are these girls? Someone had asked. Emma's face had burned hot. Are you into girls or something? Another student had said. The teacher had tried to quiet the class, but the damage was already done. The whispers had followed Emma for weeks. Lesbian. Quiet freak. Of course she likes girls. Emma had stopped drawing in public after that. Stopped speaking even more. Stopped trusting people. Her world had shrunk to safe spaces, her bedroom, her sketchbook, and the quiet comfort of stories where love was allowed to exist without judgment. Emma blinked, pulling herself back into the present. Her tea had gone cold. She hadn't thought about that day in years. But something about Maya, about the way Maya looked at her, made those old fears stir again. What if Maya eventually saw her the way everyone else had? What if she realized Emma was too quiet, too strange, too complicated? Emma picked up her phone and stared at Maya's last message again. Maya, I think I'd like that. Her heart fluttered despite the doubt creeping into her thoughts. Maya had never laughed at her. Never rushed her. Never made her feel small. Instead, Maya listened. really listened. Emma opened their conversation and hesitated. Then she typed. Emma. Good morning. The message sat on the screen for a moment before she pressed send. Her heart began to beat faster. Only seconds passed before the phone buzzed. Maya. Good morning, Emma. Emma smiled softly. Another message appeared. Maya. Did you sleep well? Emma leaned back against the couch. For a moment, the old memories loosened their grip. She typed carefully. Emma. Yes. I did. Then after a moment, she added something more. Something honest. Emma. Talking to you helps. Across the city, Maya read the message while standing in her kitchen. Her expression softened immediately. She replied. Maya. Talking to you helps me too. Emma stared at the screen. A warmth spread slowly through her chest. Maybe her past didn't have to control her future. Maybe the girl, who once hid her drawings in fear, could finally allow herself to be seen. And maybe, just maybe, the quiet heart she had protected for so long was finally ready to open. Because for the first time since that painful classroom moment years ago, someone wasn't laughing. Someone was staying. And that someone was Maya. Rain fell steadily over the city that evening. Street lights reflected in the wet pavement, turning the sidewalks into rivers of gold and silver. Cars moved slowly through the mist, their headlights glowing like distant stars. Emma stood beneath the awning of the small cafe, where she and Maya usually met. Her hands were tucked nervously inside the sleeves of her sweater. Tonight felt different. Heavier. Not because of Maya, but because of the truth Emma had been carrying all day. She had almost cancelled. Almost sent a message saying she wasn't feeling well. But Maya had already texted earlier. I'll see you tonight. Simple. Certain. Emma's heart fluttered nervously. The cafe door opened. And there she was. Maya stepped inside, brushing raindrops from her coat. Her dark hair was slightly damp, a few loose strands framing her face. Her eyes immediately found Emma. And she smiled. That soft, steady smile that always made Emma feel like the world had suddenly become quieter. Hi, Maya said warmly. Hi, Emma replied, her voice barely above a whisper. They found their usual table near the window. Outside, the rain continued tapping gently against the glass. Inside, the cafe glowed with soft amber light. For a few minutes they talked about small things. Work. Books. A funny story about one of Maya's patients, who had tried to convince her that chocolate should count as medicine. Emma laughed softly. But Maya noticed something. Emma's fingers kept twisting together in her lap. Her eyes kept drifting toward the window. Finally Maya leaned forward slightly. Emma, she said gently. Emma looked up. Something's on your mind. Emma swallowed. Of course Maya noticed. She always noticed. Emma began, then stopped. Her chest tightened. Maya didn't rush her. She simply waited. The same patient silence she always offered. Emma took a slow breath. There's something I've never told you. Maya nodded softly. Okay. Emma stared at her hands. I wasn't always this quiet, she said slowly. Maya listened carefully. Emma continued. When I was younger, I used to draw a lot. You still do, Maya said gently. Emma gave a small nod. Yes. But back then, my drawings were different. Her voice trembled slightly. They were about love. Maya tilted her head slightly. Emma forced herself to keep going. One day someone found my sketchbook at school. Her fingers tightened together. They saw drawings of two girls, together. The cafe seemed to grow quieter. I didn't even understand my feelings fully back then, Emma said softly. But everyone else decided they did. Maya's expression darkened slightly with concern. Emma continued. They laughed. Called me names. Said I was strange. Her voice broke slightly. I stopped drawing after that. At least, where anyone could see. A long silence followed. Emma felt exposed. Vulnerable. She kept her eyes on the table, afraid to see Maya's reaction. Then she felt something warm. Maya's hand gently covering hers. Emma looked up slowly. Maya's eyes were soft. Not judgmental. Not surprised. Just kind. Emma, Maya said quietly. You were never strange. Emma's chest tightened. You were just honest about your heart. Emma blinked rapidly. I was scared, she admitted. Maya squeezed her hand slightly. You were a kid, Maya said softly. Kids can be cruel when they don't understand things. Emma exhaled slowly. A weight she had carried for years suddenly felt lighter. I guess I never really stopped being afraid, Emma said quietly. Maya leaned a little closer. You're not alone anymore. Emma looked at her. Really looked. You're not afraid of me? Emma asked softly. Maya smiled gently. Emma. Her voice was warm and steady. I think you're incredible. Emma felt her heart skip. Your quietness, your kindness, the way you see the world. Maya's thumb brushed lightly against Emma's hand. I'm not afraid of that. Emma's eyes softened. For the first time in years, the memory of that classroom didn't feel as painful. Because someone was sitting across from her now. Someone who understood. Outside, the rain continued falling. But inside the cafe, something fragile and beautiful was unfolding. Trust. And the beginning of a love strong enough to heal old wounds. Emma squeezed Maya's hand gently. And for the first time since that painful day in school. She no longer felt ashamed of the girl who once drew love stories in her notebook. Because maybe those drawings had simply been waiting. Waiting for the right person to step into them. And tonight, across a small cafe table in the rain. That person was Maya. Blue heart. The rain had slowed to a soft drizzle by the time Emma and Maya stepped out of the cafe. The streets shimmered under the glow of streetlights, puddles reflecting the city like small mirrors scattered across the pavement. Emma pulled her sweater a little tighter around herself as they walked side by side. Neither of them seemed eager to say goodbye yet. Their conversation had grown quieter after Emma's confession inside the cafe. Not uncomfortable, just thoughtful. Like both of them were holding something delicate between them. You're quiet, Maya said softly. Emma let out a shy breath. I guess I used up all my brave words earlier. Maya smiled gently. I'm glad you told me, she said. That took courage. Emma glanced at her. The warmth in Maya's eyes made her chest flutter again. They reached the small park they often passed on the way back toward the main street. The rain had left the grass sparkling and the air cool and fresh. Maya slowed slightly near the same bench where they had sat before. Do you want to sit for a minute? She asked. Emma nodded. They sat down, the wood still slightly damp from the rain, but neither of them seemed to mind. For a while they simply listened to the quiet sounds of the night, the distant hum of traffic, the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze. Emma's heart beat steadily in her chest. She was aware of Maya beside her. Very aware. Their shoulders were close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from her. "Emma," Maya said gently after a moment. Emma turned toward her. "Yes?" Maya hesitated. It was rare to see hesitation in her. "I've been thinking about something," Maya said. Emma felt her stomach flutter nervously. "What?" Maya met her eyes. "You matter to me." Emma's breath caught. The words were simple, but they carried weight. More than Emma had expected. "I know we've been taking things slowly," Maya continued. "And I want that. I don't want to rush you." Emma swallowed softly. "But I also don't want to pretend that what's happening between us is just friendship." Emma felt the air leave her lungs. Her heart was racing now. "Maya," she whispered. Maya reached out carefully, her fingers brushing against Emma's hand. The touch was gentle, asking permission rather than assuming it. Emma didn't pull away. Instead, her fingers slowly intertwined with Maya's. Warm. Steady. Real. Maya's thumb traced a small circle against Emma's skin. "Is this okay?" she asked quietly. Emma nodded. "Yes." Their eyes held each other. Time seemed to slow. The space between them suddenly felt smaller. More intimate. Emma's heart pounded louder now, the nervous flutter she had known her whole life mixing with something deeper. Something hopeful. Maya leaned slightly closer. Emma could see every detail of her face now, the soft curve of her lips, the warmth in her eyes. The moment stretched. Emma's breath caught as Maya moved just a little closer. Close enough that Emma could feel her breath. For a second, Emma thought it was going to happen. Their first kiss. Her heart jumped wildly in her chest. But then Maya paused. She studied Emma's face carefully. "You look nervous," Maya whispered gently. Emma laughed softly, embarrassed. "I am." Maya smiled. "Not teasing. Just understanding." "I don't want your first moment with me to feel scary," she said softly. Emma blinked. "You stopped." Maya nodded slightly. "You deserve to feel ready." Emma stared at her, amazed. No one had ever been this patient with her. This careful with her feelings. Emma squeezed Maya's hand. "I think," she said slowly. "Yes? I think I would like that moment," Emma admitted shyly. Maya's eyes softened even more. "Then we'll wait for the right time." Emma nodded. The anticipation remained between them, warm and electric. But now it felt safe. Gentle. Like something beautiful that was growing slowly instead of rushing. They sat together a little longer on the bench. Hands still intertwined. Neither of them speaking. Because sometimes the most powerful moments didn't need words. And tonight had brought them closer than either of them expected. Not with a kiss. Not yet. But with something just as important. Trust. And the promise that when their first kiss finally came, it would be worth the wait. Morning arrived quietly. A pale grey light filtered through the blinds of Maya's apartment as the city slowly woke outside. Cars hummed faintly in the distance, and somewhere below, a bakery door opened with the smell of fresh bread drifting into the street. Maya stood in her kitchen, staring at the coffee in her mug. It had already gone cold. Her thoughts kept returning to the park bench from the night before. Emma's shy smile. Her hand in Maya's. And the moment their faces had been so close that Maya could almost feel Emma's heartbeat. Almost a kiss. Maya closed her eyes and exhaled slowly. "Careful," she murmured to herself again. But the truth was obvious now. She was already past careful. She was falling. Not quickly. Not recklessly. But steadily, the way quiet love grows when two people begin to trust each other. The problem wasn't her feelings. The problem was something else. Emma was still technically her patient. Maya had tried not to think about it before. Their meetings had been casual at first, coffee, walks, quiet conversations. But last night had changed something. Now the line between doctor and something more had become impossible to ignore. Maya rubbed her forehead. She had spent years building her reputation as a professional, careful physician. Boundaries mattered. Trust mattered. And yet every time she looked at Emma, those professional rules felt distant compared to the real, human connection between them. Her phone buzzed on the counter. A message from Emma. Maya picked it up immediately. Emma. Good morning. Maya felt a small smile appear before she could stop it. Maya. Good morning, Emma. A moment passed. Then another message appeared. Emma. I keep thinking about last night. Maya's heart skipped slightly. She leaned against the counter before replying. Maya. Me too. 3 dots appeared. Emma was typing again. Emma. Did I make things awkward? Maya's expression softened instantly. She replied quickly. Maya. Not at all. Another pause. Then Emma wrote. Emma. I've just never been that close to someone before. Maya's chest tightened gently. She could almost picture Emma sitting somewhere quietly, phone in hand, cheeks slightly flushed. Maya typed carefully. Maya. You didn't do anything wrong. A moment later she added. Maya. If anything. I was the one who almost crossed a line. Emma replied almost instantly. Emma. What line? Maya hesitated. She couldn't avoid the truth anymore. Maya. The doctor line. Several seconds passed. Then Emma responded. Emma. Oh? Just that. Oh? Maya felt a wave of concern. Maya. It doesn't mean I regret anything. Another pause. Then Emma sent another message. Emma. Do you wish we never met outside the clinic? Maya's answer came without hesitation. Maya. No. Then another message. Maya. Meeting you has been the best part of my year. Across the city, Emma read the message and felt warmth spread through her chest. Her fingers trembled slightly as she typed. Emma. Then maybe we don't have to worry so much about lines. Maya smiled at the screen. Emma had a way of seeing things simply. Honestly. Still, Maya knew she had to be responsible. Maya. I just want to make sure I do this right. Emma replied. Emma. You already are. Maya leaned against the counter again, feeling a quiet sense of relief. Maybe the situation wasn't perfect. Maybe the rules were complicated. But feelings rarely followed neat guidelines. And Emma wasn't just a patient anymore. She was someone Maya cared about deeply. Someone whose quiet courage had slipped past every wall Maya had built. Maya typed one more message. Maya. How about dinner tonight? Emma's reply came seconds later. Emma. I'd like that. Maya smiled softly. The line between doctor and heart might still exist. But for the first time in years, Maya was willing to step across it. Carefully. Honestly. And maybe, if they kept moving forward together, that line would eventually disappear completely. The evening air carried a gentle warmth as Emma walked toward the restaurant Maya had suggested. It wasn't fancy, just a small place tucked between a bookstore and a flower shop. Soft lights glowed through the windows, and the scent of freshly baked bread drifted onto the sidewalk. Emma paused outside the door for a moment. Her heart was beating faster than usual. Not from anxiety this time. From anticipation. She pushed the door open carefully. Inside, the restaurant was quiet and cozy. A few couples sat at scattered tables, their conversations blending into a soft murmur. And there was Maya. She stood when she saw Emma, her face lighting up with that familiar, gentle smile. "Hi," Maya said. Emma felt warmth rush to her cheeks. "Hi." They sat across from each other, the candlelight between them casting a soft glow. For a few minutes, they talked about ordinary things, Emma's latest book cover design, a funny story from Maya's day at the clinic. But beneath the conversation, something new lingered in the air. Something more intimate. Something waiting. When the food arrived, Emma realized she hadn't been this relaxed around someone in years. Maya's presence had a calming effect, like the quiet after a storm. After dinner, they stepped back out into the night. The streets were peaceful, the sky deep blue with scattered stars. "Do you want to walk?" Maya asked. Emma nodded. They strolled slowly down the sidewalk, their pace unhurried. At first, their hands brushed accidentally as they walked. Emma felt a small spark each time. Then it happened again. And this time, neither of them pulled away immediately. Emma's heart raced. Her fingers hovered for a moment before moving slightly closer. Maya noticed. She slowed her steps. Then, gently, carefully, Maya reached for Emma's hand. Not suddenly. Not boldly. Just softly, like asking a question. Emma looked down at their hands. Then she looked up at Maya. Maya's eyes were calm, warm, waiting. "Is this okay?" Maya asked quietly. Emma nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes." Their fingers intertwined. The warmth of Maya's hand spread instantly through Emma's chest. It felt simple. Natural. But also incredibly important. Emma had never held someone's hand like this before. Never walked beside someone who made her feel both nervous and completely safe at the same time. They continued down the street together, their steps slow and synchronized. At one point, Emma stumbled slightly on the uneven pavement. Maya's other hand instinctively moved to Emma's arm, steadying her. The touch was brief. But Emma felt it like a gentle electric current. "Careful," Maya said softly. Emma laughed shyly. "I'm not very graceful." "I think you're doing just fine," Maya replied. Emma glanced at their joined hands again. She squeezed slightly. Maya squeezed back. Neither of them spoke for a while after that. They didn't need to. Because sometimes the first real touch between two people says more than any words ever could. And tonight, under quiet streetlights and a sky full of distant stars, Emma's shy heart had taken another brave step forward. Not just toward Maya, but toward a life where she no longer had to walk alone. The days after Emma and Maya's dinner seemed softer than usual. Emma noticed it in the little things. The way she hummed quietly while working at her desk. The way the morning light in her apartment felt warmer. The way her phone had become something she looked forward to checking. Because almost every morning now, there was a message waiting. Maya. Good morning, Emma. Simple. But it always made Emma smile. Their walks continued. Their conversations grew longer. Their hands found each other more naturally now. And yet, something inside Emma remained fragile. Happiness still felt unfamiliar. One afternoon, Emma sat at a cafe near her apartment, sketching ideas for a new book cover. Her pencil moved slowly across the page. Two women standing beneath a tree. One reaching gently for the other's hand. Emma smiled softly at the drawing. But suddenly a voice behind her said, "Emma." Emma froze. Her heart skipped. She knew that voice. Slowly, she turned. Standing a few steps away was someone she hadn't seen in years. Clara. A girl from her old high school. The same girl who had once held up Emma's sketchbook in front of the entire class. The same girl who had laughed. Emma felt her chest tighten immediately. "Wow," Clara said with a surprised laugh. "I almost didn't recognize you." Emma forced a small nod. "Hi." Clara glanced down at Emma's sketchbook on the table. Still drawing those little stories. Emma quickly closed the notebook. A familiar heat rose to her face. "Just work," she said quietly. Clara leaned against the table casually. "I remember your drawings," she said. "You were always making those romantic ones with girls." The words hit Emma like a cold wave. The cafe suddenly felt smaller. The air heavier. Clara smirked slightly. "So tell me," she said. "Did that phase ever pass?" Emma's fingers tightened around her pencil. It wasn't a phase. But the old fear returned instantly. All the whispers. All the laughter. All the moments that had made her hide who she was. "I should go," Emma said softly. She stood quickly, gathering her bag. Clara shrugged. "Relax. I was just curious." Emma didn't reply. She walked out of the cafe with her heart pounding. The street felt louder than usual. Cars rushing past. People talking. Everything blurred slightly. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. Emma pulled it out. A message from Maya. "Maya. How's your afternoon going?" Emma stared at the screen. Just seeing Maya's name made her chest ache. Because suddenly the old fear had returned. What if people judged them? What if Maya realized that being with someone like Emma came with complications? What if the world laughed again? Emma sat on a nearby bench, staring at the message. Her fingers hovered above the screen. Finally, she typed. "Emma. Can we talk tonight?" Maya replied almost immediately. "Maya. Of course." Emma looked up at the gray sky. Her heart felt heavy again. The happiness she had begun to trust suddenly felt fragile. Like something that could break if the world looked too closely. But deep down, Emma knew one thing. She couldn't run away this time. Not from Maya. Not from her feelings. Because the quiet life she had built alone was no longer enough. And if fear wanted to return, Emma would have to face it. Not by herself. But with the person who had already begun to change everything. Maya. Night arrived quietly, wrapping the city in cool air and soft shadows. Emma sat on the same park bench where she and Maya had shared so many quiet moments. Her hands rested in her lap, fingers nervously twisting together. The streetlights had just turned on, casting warm circles of light along the path. She had arrived early. Too early. But waiting alone gave her time to think. And thinking was exactly what made her chest feel heavy. The encounter with Clara earlier that day kept replaying in her mind. The smirk. The teasing tone. The reminder of the girl Emma used to be, the girl who had been laughed at for simply drawing love the way she felt it. Emma sighed softly. Footsteps approached along the path. She didn't need to look up to know it was Maya. Somehow she always knew. "Emma," Maya said gently. Emma lifted her head. Maya sat beside her, concern immediately visible in her eyes. You sounded worried in your message, Maya said softly. Emma nodded slowly. I ran into someone today. Maya waited patiently. Someone from high school. Maya's expression softened with understanding. Someone who wasn't kind, she asked gently. Emma gave a small, sad smile. You could say that. The breeze rustled the leaves above them. Emma stared at the ground for a moment before continuing. She was one of the people who found my sketchbook. Maya remembered the story from the rainy cafe night. The teasing. The humiliation. Emma swallowed. She recognized me today. Maya's jaw tightened slightly. And she started talking about my drawings again. Emma's voice grew quieter. About the girls in them. Silence settled between them. Maya spoke carefully. What did you say? Emma shook her head. Nothing. I just left. She looked up at Maya, her eyes filled with uncertainty. It made me realize something. What? Maya asked gently. Emma hesitated. Her heart pounded as the words formed. I've been pretending I'm braver than I actually am. Maya frowned slightly. Emma, you are brave. Emma shook her head again. No. I've just been hiding behind quiet moments with you. Her voice trembled. But the world outside those moments still scares me. Maya studied her carefully. Emma took a deep breath. I'm afraid that if people see us together, they'll judge you too. Maya's eyebrows lifted slightly. Emma continued softly. You're respected. You're confident. You have a whole life that works. She lowered her gaze. And I'm just the quiet girl people used to laugh at. Maya turned toward her fully. Emma. Emma's eyes slowly lifted. Maya's voice was calm but firm. You are not that girl anymore. Emma opened her mouth to argue, but Maya gently took her hand. You're kind, Maya said. You're thoughtful. You're incredibly talented. And you have one of the bravest hearts I've ever seen. Emma blinked, surprised. Brave? She whispered. Maya nodded. You shared your story with me even though it hurt. She squeezed Emma's hand gently. That's bravery. Emma felt warmth rise in her chest. But what if people judge us? Emma asked quietly. Maya smiled softly. People always judge something. Emma watched her carefully. But what matters is this, Maya said. Her thumb brushed lightly over Emma's hand. What we choose. Emma felt the fear in her chest slowly loosen. You really aren't worried? Emma asked. Maya shook her head. I'm worried about only one thing. Emma tilted her head slightly. What? Maya met her eyes. That you might let fear convince you that you don't deserve happiness. Emma felt her breath catch. Because that was exactly what she had been afraid of. Maya's voice softened again. Emma. I like being with you. Emma's heart skipped. A lot. Emma looked down at their hands again. Then she squeezed Maya's fingers. I like being with you too. The words came out quietly. But they were the most honest words she had spoken all day. The wind moved gently through the park again. And for the first time since seeing Clara, Emma felt the fear begin to fade. Because sitting beside her was someone who didn't see the shy girl who had once been laughed at. Maya saw something else. Someone worth loving. And maybe, just maybe, Emma was finally beginning to believe it too. The park was quiet that night. A soft breeze moved through the trees, carrying the faint scent of flowers from the gardens nearby. The city beyond the park continued its busy rhythm, but here everything felt slower, calmer. Emma and Maya still sat side by side on the bench. Their hands were intertwined. Emma felt different than she had earlier that day. Lighter. Talking to Maya had untangled the knot of fear that Clara's words had stirred up inside her. For years, Emma had believed that the world would always laugh at her for loving the way she did. But Maya had never laughed. She had only listened. And stayed. Emma glanced at Maya. The soft glow of the streetlight illuminated her face, highlighting the calm warmth in her eyes. "You're thinking again," Maya said gently. Emma smiled shyly. "I do that a lot." Maya chuckled quietly. "Yes, you do." A comfortable silence settled between them. Emma felt the warmth of Maya's hand wrapped around hers, steady and reassuring. After a moment, Emma spoke again. "Thank you." Maya looked at her. "For what?" Emma hesitated before answering. "For not making me feel strange." Maya's expression softened deeply. "Emma," she said quietly, "you were never strange." Emma felt her chest warm again. She had spent so many years believing the opposite. They sat quietly for another moment. Then Maya spoke softly. "Can I ask you something?" Emma nodded. "Of course." Maya hesitated slightly, something rare for her. "When we almost kissed the other night." Emma's heart immediately began to race. "Was that something you wanted?" Emma's cheeks warmed. "Yes," she admitted quietly. Maya's gaze remained gentle. "Are you still afraid of that moment?" Emma thought carefully. The old Emma might have said yes. But something had changed. Maya had given her patience. Understanding. Safety. Emma shook her head slowly. "No." The word felt brave. "Real." Maya's fingers tightened slightly around Emma's hand. "Emma." Emma looked up. Maya leaned a little closer. The space between them shrank again, just like it had before. But this time Emma didn't feel fear. Only anticipation. Maya paused a few inches away, giving Emma time to change her mind if she needed to. Emma didn't move away. Instead, she leaned forward too. Their eyes met. Emma could hear her own heartbeat echoing in her ears. "Are you sure?" Maya whispered. Emma nodded softly. "Yes." And this time, when Maya closed the small distance between them, Emma didn't freeze. She didn't panic. She simply closed her eyes. Maya's lips touched hers gently. The kiss was soft. Careful. Like the beginning of something precious. Emma felt warmth spread through her chest, through her arms, through every quiet part of her heart that had waited years for this moment. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't rushed. It was patient. Tender. When they slowly pulled apart, Emma opened her eyes. Maya was smiling softly. Emma felt a small laugh escape her lips. That was. She searched for the word. Maya tilted her head slightly. "What?" Emma smiled shyly. "Worth the wait." Maya laughed quietly. "I agree." Their hands remained joined as they sat there together. The park lights glowed softly around them. And for the first time in Emma's life, a love story she once only drew in secret sketches had become real. Not hidden. Not imaginary. But right here beside her. Because sometimes the quietest hearts hold the deepest love. And tonight, under the calm glow of the city lights, Emma's heart had finally found its home. The morning after their first kiss felt unreal to Emma. Sunlight streamed gently through her apartment window, painting soft golden patterns across the floor. The city outside buzzed with its usual weekday rhythm, cars moving, people rushing to work, cafe doors opening. But Emma remained in bed for a moment longer. Her fingers lightly touched her lips. The memory of the kiss returned instantly. Soft. Warm. Real. A shy smile appeared on her face. For years, Emma had imagined what a first kiss might feel like. In her drawings, in the quiet stories she created inside her mind. But reality had been better. Because reality had been Maya. Her phone buzzed softly on the bedside table. Emma reached for it. A message. Maya. Good morning. Emma smiled immediately. She typed back. Emma. Good morning. A few seconds later another message appeared. Maya. How are you feeling today? Emma thought for a moment. Then she typed honestly. Emma. Happy. Across the city, Maya stood in her kitchen reading the message. Her smile was immediate. She typed back. Maya. Me too. Emma sat up in bed, her heart light. But happiness always came with something new. Something unfamiliar. Responsibility. Because last night had changed things between them. They were no longer just two people sharing quiet walks and conversations. They were something more. Something real. Emma got dressed and left her apartment a little later than usual. She decided to stop by the cafe where she often worked on her sketches. The same cafe where she had run into Clara. For a moment, Emma hesitated before entering. But she took a breath and pushed the door open anyway. Inside, the smell of fresh coffee filled the air. Emma chose a small table near the window and opened her sketchbook. Her pencil moved slowly across the page. But today, the drawing was different. Two women standing together. Not hiding. Not distant. Standing proudly side by side. Emma paused and studied the sketch. A quiet sense of courage stirred inside her. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Maya. Maya. I was thinking, maybe we could have dinner tonight. Emma smiled. Then another message followed. Maya. Somewhere a little less quiet than our usual places. Emma raised an eyebrow. Emma. Less quiet. Maya replied. Maya. Yes. Another pause. Then the next message appeared. Maya. Somewhere people might see us. Emma stared at the screen. Her heart skipped. This was the moment she had quietly feared. Being seen. Being judged. But she remembered Maya's words from the night before. What matters is what we choose. Emma looked down at the drawing in her notebook. Two women standing together without hiding. Her fingers tightened slightly around the phone. Then she typed. Emma. Okay. Across the city, Maya read the message and smiled. Because tonight would be different. Tonight would be the first time they stepped into the world not as two friends meeting quietly, but as two women who cared about each other openly. Emma closed her sketchbook. Her heart still beat a little faster than usual. But this time, the fear didn't control her. Because she knew something important now. Love wasn't meant to stay hidden forever. And if people were going to see them, then Emma would stand beside Maya proudly. Just like the women in her drawings. Together. The restaurant buzzed with quiet energy that evening. Soft music played in the background, the gentle clinking of silverware, and muted conversations forming a comfortable hum. Warm light spilled from chandeliers, casting a soft glow across polished wooden tables. Emma walked in with Maya beside her. Her hand was tucked into Maya's, and she felt a mix of excitement and nervousness fluttering in her chest. People glanced their way, not rudely, just curiously. It was the subtle awareness of two women holding hands, walking together with quiet confidence. Emma's cheeks warmed slightly, but Maya squeezed her hand gently. "Relax," Maya whispered. "We're together. That's all that matters." Emma nodded, drawing courage from Maya's steady presence. They were seated at a corner table, away from the main flow of traffic, but still visible to the room. The waiter greeted them warmly, oblivious to the small waves of attention they were drawing. They began ordering, chatting lightly about their day. Emma found herself laughing freely. The fear she had carried for so long, the fear of being judged, seemed to melt away when she was with Maya. At one point, a young couple at a nearby table glanced over and smiled. The small gesture of recognition made Emma's heart skip. Someone had seen them, and it hadn't been frightening. Maya noticed Emma's gaze and smiled softly. "See," she whispered. "Not scary at all." Emma nodded. The meal arrived, simple but comforting. They ate slowly, savoring the quiet intimacy of sitting together in a public space, yet in their own little world. Halfway through, a man at the next table leaned slightly forward. "Excuse me," he said politely. "I couldn't help but notice, you two look really happy together." Emma blinked, startled. Maya smiled warmly. "Thank you," she said. "We are." Emma's fingers squeezed Maya's hand under the table. Her chest felt lighter, freer. After that, people continued their dinners around them, but Emma no longer felt the weight of being watched. Instead, she felt a quiet pride. When they finally left the restaurant, the evening air was crisp. Rain had begun again, leaving the streets glistening. Maya paused under a streetlight, pulling Emma close. "You did amazing tonight," Maya said softly. Emma looked up at her, heart full. "I think I'm starting to like being seen," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Maya laughed quietly, brushing a damp strand of hair from Emma's face. "Then we'll make sure the world keeps seeing us," she said. Emma smiled shyly, her hand finding Maya's again. And for the first time, the thought of being visible, being judged, felt like freedom rather than fear. Together, they walked into the night, hands entwined, hearts unafraid, ready to face the world side by side. The next afternoon, Emma decided to take a walk through the small city park near her apartment. The sun filtered through the trees, casting dappled shadows across the winding paths. Birds chirped softly, and the air smelled faintly of blooming flowers. She had her sketchbook tucked under her arm, feeling lighter after the dinner with Maya the night before. Holding hands in public, being seen, it had felt like a small victory. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A message from Maya. "Maya. Thinking of you. Coffee later." Emma smiled, typing back quickly. "Emma. I'd like that." Slipping her phone back into her pocket, Emma rounded a corner near the pond and froze. Standing there was someone she hadn't expected to see again. Clara. Her old high school tormentor. Clara's eyes widened when they met Emma's. Well, Clara said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "If it isn't the quiet artist herself." Emma's chest tightened. Memories of being laughed at, of hiding her sketches, of the whispers, flooded back instantly. Emma drew in a slow breath, trying to steady herself. Hello, Clara," she said carefully. Clara stepped closer, tilting her head. "You've changed," she said. "I didn't think I'd ever see you like this." Emma stiffened. "Changed how?" Clara smirked. "You're confident. Walking around holding hands. Seems like someone finally saw you for who you really are." Emma's fingers clenched slightly around her sketchbook. A part of her wanted to run. But another part, the part that had spent months learning to trust herself and Maya, remained rooted. Yes, Emma said slowly. Someone did. Clara raised an eyebrow. Ah. So, this Maya person. Emma nodded, feeling her heart race, not with fear, but determination. Yes. Maya is very important to me. Clara's smirk softened slightly. I see. And you're not afraid? Emma shook her head. Not anymore. For the first time, she felt the weight of those high school years lift slightly. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't ashamed. And she wasn't alone. Clara studied her for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she smiled. Good for you, she said, her voice quieter, almost sincere. I guess I underestimated you back then. Emma blinked. Thanks, I guess. Clara gave a small nod and turned to leave. Emma watched her go, breathing slowly. The fear that had gripped her earlier that day was gone. Replaced by a quiet confidence. She pulled out her phone and texted Maya. Emma. Coffee today. I might need someone to celebrate a small victory. Seconds later, Maya's reply came. Maya. Always. I'll meet you at the usual place. Emma smiled to herself, the sun shining a little brighter through the trees. She had faced someone from her past and survived. And for the first time, Emma realized that with Maya by her side, there was nothing from her past that could make her feel small again. Holding her sketchbook tightly, Emma walked toward the cafe, feeling braver than ever. The cafe smelled of freshly ground coffee and warm pastries. Emma stepped inside, the familiar chime of the doorbell announcing her arrival. She spotted Maya immediately, seated at their usual corner table, a gentle smile on her face. Hey, Maya said softly, standing as Emma approached. Hey, Emma replied, returning the smile. Her fingers instinctively sought Maya's as they sat down together. The air between them felt lighter than usual. The encounter with Clara earlier had left a residue of tension, but now it was replaced by relief, and something softer, more intimate. Maya reached across the table and brushed a damp strand of hair from Emma's face. You okay? She asked, voice gentle. Emma nodded, feeling warmth spread through her chest. Better. Much better. She pulled her sketchbook out and opened it, showing Maya the drawings she had worked on that afternoon. Two women, standing side by side, holding hands confidently. Maya leaned closer, studying the sketches. These are beautiful, she said. Anne, you look happy in them. Emma felt her cheeks warm. I am happy. I finally feel like I can be. Maya's hand rested lightly on top of Emma's. I'm glad, she said softly. You deserve to feel this way. Emma looked into Maya's eyes. There was a steady, unwavering warmth there, like a lighthouse guiding her through years of uncertainty. Thank you for everything, Emma whispered. Maya smiled. You don't need to thank me. You've done the brave work yourself. They sat in quiet for a moment, hands intertwined, listening to the low murmur of the cafe. Outside, the sunlight shifted, painting the tables with soft golden patterns. Emma took a deep breath. I like this. Being seen with you. Being with you. Maya leaned in slightly. I like it too, she admitted. Every moment of it. Emma's heart swelled. She rested her head lightly against Maya's shoulder, and Maya responded instinctively, her arm wrapping gently around Emma. They stayed like that for a while, just holding each other in silence. Not because words weren't enough, but because sometimes, the quiet moments were the most powerful. Emma thought about all the times she had hidden herself away. All the fear she had carried for years. And now, it felt distant, like a shadow from a life she no longer belonged to. You know, Maya said quietly, it's worth celebrating. Emma lifted her head slightly, smiling shyly. Even quietly. Especially quietly, Maya said, brushing her lips gently across Emma's forehead. Emma laughed softly, the sound mingling with the low hum of the cafe. For the first time, she didn't feel small. She didn't feel afraid. She felt home. And sitting there with Maya, surrounded by soft sunlight, the smell of coffee, and the warmth of love finally within reach, Emma realized something profound. Some victories didn't need applause. Some celebrations were just for the heart. And this one, this quiet, gentle, tender moment, was theirs alone. Saturday morning arrived with soft golden light spilling into Emma's apartment. Emma stretched lazily in bed, a smile tugging at her lips as she remembered the quiet celebration at the cafe the day before. Her fingers brushed the edge of her sketchbook on the nightstand, still filled with images of her and Maya, holding hands, laughing, standing side by side in ways she had never imagined before. A buzz from her phone drew her attention. A message from Maya. Maya. Morning, sleep ahead. Ready for our weekend. Emma's heart fluttered. She typed back quickly. Emma. Absolutely. Can't wait. By late morning, Maya arrived at Emma's apartment, carrying a small bag with snacks, a blanket, and a book she thought Emma would like. Ready? Maya asked, her eyes twinkling. Emma grinned, taking her hand. Always. They walked together toward the small park near the river, a quiet escape from the city's usual rush. The streets were warm with early sunlight, and a gentle breeze carried the faint scent of flowers and fresh grass. For most of the walk, they simply held hands, speaking softly, laughing at small jokes, sharing moments of quiet connection. They reached a secluded spot by the riverbank, where the grass sloped gently toward the water. Maya spread the blanket, and they settled down, sitting close together. Emma rested her head against Maya's shoulder. I never realized weekends could feel this peaceful, she murmured. Maya smiled, brushing a loose strand of hair from Emma's face. They are better when shared, she said softly. The hours drifted by without urgency. They talked about their childhood dreams, the books they wanted to read, and the places they hoped to visit. Occasionally, they fell into comfortable silence, just listening to the river ripple and the distant calls of birds. At one point, Emma pulled out her sketchbook. She showed Maya a drawing she had made earlier that morning, the two of them sitting on this very blanket, the sun shining around them, their hands intertwined. You drew this? Maya asked, smiling. Emma nodded. I wanted to remember this moment. How it feels to be completely present. Maya leaned forward and kissed the top of Emma's head gently. Then I hope you never forget it. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the water gold and pink, Maya shifted slightly so their faces were close. Emma felt her heart race. Maya, she whispered. Maya's gaze softened. Yes? Emma's hands trembled slightly. I think I'm falling for you. Maya smiled, her fingers brushing over Emma's cheek. I already have. For a long moment, they simply looked at each other, the world around them fading to a quiet blur. Then, without any hesitation this time, their lips met. The kiss was gentle, slow, and full of all the unspoken emotions that had grown over the past weeks: trust, longing, tenderness, and a deep, steady love. Pulling back slightly, Emma rested her forehead against Maya's. I've never felt this safe with anyone, she murmured. Maya smiled softly. And you never will feel unsafe with me. I promise. They sat there until twilight settled over the river, wrapped in a blanket, hands entwined, hearts beating in quiet harmony. For Emma, the weekend wasn't just a break from routine, it was the beginning of a new chapter of life. One where fear no longer dictated her choices, where love was patient, honest, and wholly shared. And beside her, Maya held her hand as if the world had always belonged to them both. Monday morning arrived with grey skies and a faint drizzle. Emma sat at her desk, staring at her sketchbook, trying to focus on work. But her mind kept drifting back to the weekend with Maya, the walks, the riverbank, the quiet kisses. It had been perfect. Too perfect, perhaps. Her phone buzzed. A message from Maya. Maya. Hey, can we talk tonight? Emma frowned slightly. Something about the tone felt serious, almost tense. She typed back quickly. Emma. Of course. Is everything okay? A pause before Maya replied. Maya. Yes, I just want to clear something up. Emma's stomach twisted nervously. Something was coming. That evening, they met at a small cafe near the clinic, somewhere quiet enough to talk. Maya arrived first, already seated, her coat slightly damp from the drizzle. She looked up as Emma approached, smiling, but there was a subtle tightness around her eyes. Hi, Emma said softly, sliding into the seat across from her. Hi, Maya replied, voice measured. A tense silence fell between them for a moment. Finally, Maya spoke. Emma. I've been thinking about us. Emma's heart beat faster. About us? Yes, Maya said carefully. About our relationship. About boundaries. Emma's stomach dropped. She had expected closeness, warmth, this felt different. I don't understand, she said slowly. Maya took a deep breath. Emma. I care about you. I really do. But I'm still your doctor in many ways. I want to make sure that we don't rush into anything that could complicate things too quickly. Emma's chest tightened. I thought we were past that. Maya looked down for a moment, then back at her. I know we are. And I want to be with you. But sometimes I worry, what if something happens? What if the world sees us and it affects you? Me? Us? Emma's voice grew quiet, almost trembling. Maya. I've been waiting for someone like you for so long. Someone who sees me. And now I feel like you're holding back. Maya reached across the table, taking Emma's hand. I'm not holding back my feelings. I promise. I just want to protect both of us. Emma pulled her hand back slightly, frustration bubbling up. Protect us? I thought love was about trusting each other, not hiding behind rules. Maya's eyes softened, but her voice was firm. It is. And I trust us. But there are practical things I can't ignore. You have to understand that. Emma looked away, staring at the rain outside. Her heart ached with a mixture of love and frustration. I hate that even now, after everything, I feel like I have to wait for permission to be with you fully. Maya reached for her hand again, but Emma gently pulled back. Not yet, she whispered. Maya nodded, silently accepting the moment. She didn't push further. The rest of the evening passed in quiet tension. Words were minimal. When they parted, there were no kisses, no promises. Only the weight of unspoken feelings hanging in the air. Emma walked home slowly, the drizzle soaking her coat. Her mind replayed the conversation over and over. She loved Maya. She trusted her. And yet, this was the first time the relationship felt fragile. It was the first argument, the first real test. But deep down, Emma knew one thing. If they could survive this moment, this first clash of hearts and fears, they could survive anything. Because love, real love, wasn't always easy. And theirs was worth fighting for. The next evening, Emma found herself pacing her small apartment. Her phone lay on the table, Maya's name glowing on the screen. She had replayed their conversation from the night before dozens of times. Her chest still felt heavy, a mixture of frustration, sadness, and longing. She hated the tension between them. Finally, she picked up her phone and typed carefully. Emma. Can we meet? I want to talk. Within moments, Maya's reply appeared. Maya. Of course. I've been hoping you would. They agreed to meet at a quiet park near the river, the same place where their first weekend together had felt so peaceful. When Emma arrived, Maya was already there, standing under the shade of a large tree, the evening sun casting a warm glow around her. She looked at Emma with a softness that made Emma's chest ache. Maya, Emma began, voice trembling slightly. Maya stepped closer. Emma, she said gently. I'm sorry. I never wanted to make you feel like I was holding back, or that your feelings weren't valid. Emma shook her head, tears threatening to spill. No, I overreacted too. I hate feeling like I might lose what we have, even for a moment. Maya reached for Emma's hands, intertwining her fingers with hers. You won't lose me, she whispered. Not now, not ever. I care about you too much. Emma took a deep breath, letting the words sink in. I don't want fear or rules to get in the way of us. Maya smiled softly, brushing a damp strand of hair from Emma's face. Then we'll figure it out together. Step by step. We don't need to rush. But we also don't need to hide our hearts from each other. Emma's lips quivered into a small smile. I like that. Step by step. Maya leaned in slightly, their foreheads touching. Step by step, she echoed. Emma closed her eyes, letting herself savor the moment. The tension that had built over the past day began to melt away, replaced by a quiet warmth and a sense of safety. May I? Maya whispered, her voice low. Emma opened her eyes, meeting her gaze. Yes. This time, there was no hesitation. No lingering fear. Maya leaned in, and Emma met her halfway. Their lips touched softly at first, then with growing warmth and certainty. A gentle, lingering kiss that spoke of forgiveness, understanding, and trust. Pulling back slightly, Emma rested her forehead against Maya's. I'm glad we didn't let it end badly. Maya smiled, pressing a kiss to Emma's temple. Me too. We're stronger than that. They sat together on the park bench as the sun dipped below the horizon, hands intertwined, hearts beating in quiet unison. For the first time since their argument, Emma felt completely at peace. Because love wasn't just about perfect moments, it was about weathering the storms together. And now, after their first real test, Emma and Maya knew their bond could withstand anything the world threw at them. Friday evening arrived with the scent of rain lingering in the air, and the soft hum of the city winding down. Maya appeared at Emma's apartment, a small suitcase in hand and a grin that immediately made Emma's heart flutter. Surprise, Maya said, her eyes sparkling. Emma raised an eyebrow, her curiosity instantly piqued. Surprise? Maya nodded. A weekend getaway. No phones, no distractions, just us. Emma's chest tightened with excitement and nervousness. Really? Really, Maya confirmed. We've had a lot of quiet moments. I thought it was time for something, a little different. Something just for us. Emma grabbed her coat, her sketchbook safely tucked in her bag. They walked to Maya's car, the streetlights reflecting softly on the wet pavement. The drive out of the city was calm. Rain had cleared, leaving the roads glistening under the early evening sky. Soft music played in the background, and the car smelled faintly of Maya's perfume. After an hour, they arrived at a small countryside inn. The building was charming, with ivy climbing its stone walls and lanterns glowing warmly along the pathway. Emma's eyes widened. "It's beautiful." Maya took her hand. "Only the best for you." Inside, the inn was cozy and welcoming. The room had large windows overlooking a meadow, the sun setting in hues of pink and gold. A small fire crackled in the corner, filling the space with warmth. Emma sank onto the bed briefly, feeling the weight of the week lift. "I can't believe this. You planned all of this." Maya smiled, brushing a strand of hair from Emma's face. "I wanted us to have time together. Time away from the city, away from everything that might distract us." They spent the evening unpacking lightly, then settled by the fire with mugs of hot chocolate. Emma leaned against Maya, feeling the steady rhythm of her heart through the warmth of her embrace. "This feels perfect." "It's perfect because you're here," Maya said softly. As night deepened, they took a short walk outside under the starlit sky. The meadow was quiet, the grass shimmering with dew. Emma shivered slightly, and Maya immediately wrapped an arm around her. "You're freezing," Maya whispered. "I'm fine," Emma murmured. "Not on my watch," Maya said, drawing her closer. Emma felt a thrill run through her. They walked hand in hand, the silence between them comfortable, intimate. No words were needed. Every glance, every touch, spoke volumes. Back in the room, they settled on the blanket by the fire. Emma pulled out her sketchbook and began drawing, this time of the meadow and their silhouettes beneath the stars. Maya watched quietly, admiring Emma's focus, her passion, and the gentle way she expressed herself. "You're incredible," Maya whispered. Emma glanced up, cheeks warming. "Only because you make it easy to be myself." Maya leaned in, kissing her gently. "I'm going to make sure you always can." They spent the night talking, laughing quietly, and sharing gentle kisses. Emma realized that this weekend wasn't just a getaway from the city, it was a celebration of them, of their love, and of the trust and intimacy they had been building. For Emma, every moment with Maya felt like discovering a new color she hadn't known existed. And for the first time in her life, she felt fully seen, fully loved, and completely free to be herself. As they fell asleep beside each other, Sunday morning dawned with soft sunlight streaming through the curtains of the countryside inn. Emma stirred, still wrapped in the warmth of the blanket, and felt Maya's arm around her. A quiet smile spread across her face. The weekend had already been perfect, but today promised something new. "We're meeting my friends today," Maya whispered, brushing a kiss across Emma's forehead. Emma blinked, sitting up. "Your friends?" "Yes," Maya said, playful but calm. "The ones I've told you about. I think it's time you met them." Emma's stomach tightened. Meeting someone's inner circle always felt like stepping onto unknown ground. She had spent years hiding her true self, always nervous about what people would think. I hope they like me," Emma admitted quietly. Maya smiled softly. "They will. They'll love you. Just be yourself." After a quick breakfast, they drove to a small cafe where Maya's friends had gathered for a weekend brunch. As they entered, the chatter quieted for a moment, and all eyes turned toward them. Maya immediately squeezed Emma's hand. "Emma," Maya said softly, "this is Sarah, Lena, and Tom." The group smiled warmly, each offering a friendly greeting. "Hi, Emma. Maya's told us so much about you," Sarah said, her tone cheerful. "Really?" Emma asked, feeling her cheeks warm. "Yes. About your sketches, your love of quiet bookstores, all the things that make you, well, you," Lena added. Emma felt a little tension melt. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad. Tom, leaning back casually in his chair, smiled. Any friend of Maya's is a friend of ours. Emma laughed softly. The nervous knot in her stomach loosened. Over the next hour, they talked, shared jokes, and laughed over small stories about Maya's past misadventures. Emma felt herself slowly blending into the group. Her quiet humor and shy smiles met with genuine warmth. At one point, Sarah leaned closer and whispered, "Maya really does light up around you, you know. We've never seen her this happy." Emma's heart swelled. "She lights me up too," she whispered back. Later, as they walked out of the cafe together, Emma glanced at Maya. "They really are nice." Maya squeezed her hand. "I wanted them to see you. To see us together. And I think you did wonderfully." Emma smiled shyly, feeling a new kind of pride. Not just in herself, but in their relationship. She realized that being with Maya meant stepping into life fully, embracing not only her love, but all the connections and challenges that came with it. That evening, as they returned to the inn, Emma rested her head on Maya's shoulder in the car. "Today, I think I finally felt like I belong," she murmured. "You do," Maya said softly. "And I'm glad you felt that with my friends. Because they're important to me, just like you." Emma smiled, squeezing Maya's hand. "Then I guess I'm officially part of the crew." Maya laughed quietly. "Officially. Welcome." And as they drove back to the inn, the sun setting in soft orange hues, Emma realized something profound. Love wasn't just about two people. It was about the world they built together, step by step, hand in hand, heart with heart. The countryside night was quiet, the only sounds the gentle rustle of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. Emma and Maya had walked a short path away from the inn, carrying a small blanket and a thermos of tea. The meadow stretched out before them, open and soft under the moonlight, the stars scattered across the sky like scattered diamonds. Emma lay on the blanket first, staring upward. I didn't realize how many stars there were here," she whispered. Maya joined her, lying close enough that their shoulders brushed. "It's amazing," she said softly. "And quiet, perfect for being together." Emma's fingers found Maya's, intertwining with hers. "I feel like the world disappears out here." Maya smiled, turning slightly to look at her. "That's the point," she said. "Just us. Nothing else matters." For a long moment, they lay in silence, the soft night air brushing against their skin. Emma felt a rare sense of peace. No fear, no judgment, no expectations, just the warmth of Maya beside her and the infinite sky above. Finally, Emma spoke. "Maya, I've never felt this free. Not with anyone." Maya turned her body fully toward Emma, cradling her gently. "You deserve this freedom," she whispered. "And I want to be the one who gives it to you, every day." Emma felt a tear slip down her cheek, quickly brushed away by Maya's thumb. "I never thought love could feel like this, so safe, so real." "It's real," Maya said, pressing a soft kiss to Emma's forehead. "And it's ours." Emma's heart swelled. She leaned in closer, resting her head against Maya's chest, listening to the steady rhythm of her heartbeat. It was grounding, comforting, and entirely theirs. "Can I tell you something?" Emma whispered. "Anything," Maya replied. Emma hesitated, then smiled softly. "I used to draw love like this, in my sketchbook. I imagined what it would feel like, and I never thought it could actually happen to me." Maya's eyes softened, and she pressed another gentle kiss to Emma's temple. "And now it is. And it's even better than your drawings, isn't it?" Emma nodded, letting herself smile fully. "It really is." They stayed under the stars for hours, sipping tea, talking quietly about their dreams, and sharing soft kisses in the moonlight. At one point, Emma rolled over slightly, facing Maya. "Promise me something," she asked. "Anything," Maya replied. "Promise we'll always make time for nights like this," Emma said, her voice serious but tender. Maya smiled, brushing a strand of hair from Emma's face. "I promise. Always." The stars above twinkled silently as they held each other, the world around them fading to nothing. In that quiet, infinite space, Emma realized she had found not only love, but home. And with Maya by her side, she knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it together, hand in hand, heart with heart, beneath a sky full of stars. The morning after their night under the stars, Emma awoke to the sound of rain tapping gently against the window. The weekend had been perfect, quiet, intimate, and filled with moments she would remember forever. But as she stretched and reached for her phone, a knot of unease settled in her stomach. A message from Maya. "Maya. Emma, we need to talk. Something urgent came up at the clinic. Can you come by?" Emma's heart skipped. She quickly typed back. "Emma. Of course. I'll be there in 20. The drive into the city was tense. The rain-slicked streets reflected the grey sky, mirroring the unease in Emma's chest. When she arrived at the clinic, Maya was pacing in the hallway, a clipboard in hand, but her usual calm demeanor replaced by a hint of worry. "Emma," she said immediately upon seeing her. "I'm glad you came. What's wrong?" Emma asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Maya exhaled deeply. "It's a patient, a very sensitive situation. There's been some unexpected complications, and I have to be on call longer than planned. I didn't want to tell you over text, because I knew it might stress you, but..." Emma felt the tension in her chest tighten. She hated being kept in the dark, but she also trusted Maya implicitly. "Does this change anything?" Emma asked softly. Maya shook her head. "No. Not us. But it does mean I'll be tied up here for the next couple of days. I know we planned to continue our weekend getaway vibe tonight, and I hate that it's being interrupted." Emma's lips pressed into a thin line. Part of her felt frustrated, but another part understood. Maya's dedication was one of the things she loved most. "I get it," Emma said finally, her voice calm, but tinged with disappointment. "But, it's hard." Maya took Emma's hands in hers. "I know. I hate disappointing you. I promise we'll make up for it. As soon as this situation is handled, we'll have a proper weekend, just the two of us. No interruptions. I swear." Emma looked into Maya's eyes, seeing the honesty and love shining there. She took a deep breath. "Okay. I trust you. We'll handle it together." Maya smiled, relief flooding her features. "Thank you. You have no idea how much that means to me." For a moment, they stood there, hands intertwined, finding comfort in each other amidst the storm outside and the unexpected challenge that had arisen. Emma realized that love wasn't just about perfect weekends, starry nights, or quiet celebrations. It was also about facing unforeseen challenges together, trusting one another, and supporting each other even when plans went awry. "I'll stay here a little while," Emma said. "Keep you company." Maya's smile softened, a flicker of gratitude and warmth in her eyes. "You really are amazing, Emma." Emma's cheeks warmed. "I'm just yours." Maya leaned in, pressing a gentle kiss to Emma's forehead. "And I'm yours. Always." Outside, the rain continued to fall, but inside, Emma felt the steady certainty of their bond. No matter what challenges came their way, they would face them together, heart with heart, hand in hand. Because this was love worth weathering every storm for. The city lights shimmered in the evening haze, reflecting off the wet streets from the afternoon rain. Emma and Maya walked side by side, hands intertwined, the familiar comfort of each other's presence easing any lingering tension from the past weeks. They arrived at a quiet rooftop garden Maya had discovered months ago, a secret refuge filled with lanterns, flowers, and a view of the city skyline that stretched endlessly. The air smelled faintly of roses and fresh earth, carrying the calm of a world paused just for them. Maya stopped and turned toward Emma, her eyes glimmering with certainty. "Emma," she began softly, "we've been through so much, small victories, challenges, fears, everything. And through all of it, I realized something simple." Emma tilted her head, curiosity and heartbeats racing. "What's that?" Maya took both of Emma's hands. "I can't imagine my life without you. Not a single day. Not a single moment. I want us, forever, together." Emma's chest tightened with warmth and emotion. Her lips trembled as tears welled up. "Maya. Yes. Yes, of course." Maya reached into her pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Opening it, she revealed a delicate ring. "This isn't just a piece of jewelry. It's a promise that whatever comes our way, we face it side by side, always." Emma gasped, unable to stop a shy laugh and happy tears spilling together. Maya slipped the ring onto her finger, and they leaned in for a tender, lingering kiss. The rooftop felt like their entire world, lights below like stars, lanterns glowing softly, the city fading into the background. "I love you," Maya whispered against Emma's lips. "I love you too," Emma replied, voice shaking but full of certainty. They sat together on a bench, hands intertwined, hearts beating in quiet unison. For Emma, every fear, every doubt of her past melted away. She had found her home, not a place, but a person. As the stars appeared in the deepening night sky, they didn't just promise forever, they began it. Every challenge, every moment of doubt, every quiet shared smile had led them to this unshakable bond. And as the rooftop wind brushed around them, Emma knew one truth: with Maya by her side, she could face anything. Forever, together.